Hi everybody, welcome to Personal Growth with Coach Shraddha podcast. We have amazing guest today,
Oh, that's
Abhimanyu Vikram.
I didn't know that. Okay, I'm amazing. Apparently, Thank-
So Abhi,
yeah,
please tell us about yourself, which almost nobody knows
yeah,
because you keep everything, your personal life and professional life, very private.
yeah.
So we would like to know something about yourself.
Sure. So let's start from my professional journey. I was 16, and my parents are in the military. So my dad was in the military. We were traveling a lot, and at 16, I decided I wanted to be a scuba diver. So that's where the first profession, the idea of the first profession, came from. And everyone in the family was very apprehensive because it's a military family. Had I gone there, it would have been, I think, seventh generation
Mm-hmm.
military.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized, okay, if you really want to do something, you got to protect it, and you really got to work hard for it, and for a long time on your own, because the support comes at the end. It doesn't come at the beginning. And so it took me about 3 years to save up the money, and that's where I got into scuba diving. That's where I learned how the world is. I didn't have a passport before that. I didn't know that you need visa to travel the world. And that's where I started to understand how different cultures in the world function and how diverse they are, and how my life was around in a bubble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's when the journey started. Then from there, I went to Germany. I lived there for about 10 years almost.
You went to Germany to study or just to work?
No, initially it was to study,
Okay.
because that was just the stepping stone in, and I wanted to do everything on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I studied finance, which does not have much to do with what I'm doing right now, and that's where I understood how money works. And then I pivoted to like creating my own business, etc., etc. And after 10 years, I realized, okay, it's time to come back. So it's been 1 year in India now, and I've started my business over here.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Goa,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I'm traveling all over India to understand what can I learn, how the people work, and what do people prefer, etc., etc. And that's where we met in for that business itself. I was at a networking event, and that's where we met. So thank you for having me. You know, so
It's pleasure to have
that's
you.
the short and sweet version of it.
Oh, lovely. Okay. So it what a cool place to work from. I mean, Goa.
Yeah,
That's so great. But
yeah,
when you said nobody helps you in the beginning,
yeah,
but they come forward
yeah,
at the end,
yeah.
why would you say that?
Okay, so there's a good example. It's a good question, and I use this example a lot. So, for example, you're on a highway, right? And you have a punctured tire, and you start asking people for help. Not many people stop. They're quite apprehensive. But
Mm-hmm.
if they see you pushing the car on your own, a lot of people join in. So, what I've realized is people like to see someone making an effort and not just talk. So in the beginning, you're just talking about your idea and it's not coming into fruition. But during the end, when you're already in motion, that's when most people like to attach themselves to your vision. But by that time, you kind of understand where the ball is heading to.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I said that. And that's what I've learned through my experience, which is not a bad thing. It's just how it is. People like to save that time, which is totally understandable.
I guess, but when we start doing things on our own, we become more stronger and I think we become more resilient. The term I was talking about, bouncing back,
Hmm.
that's a resilient.
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 But
So when we start,
yes.
suppose I wanted to start my own coaching business,
Hmm.
and my father asked because we were very comfortable, right? I was at Qatar Airways, I was earning very well, and then I'm going to start something from the scratch. I have to quit something.
Okay.
So my father opposed. No, don't do that. You
Hmm.
know, you have a very comfortable life. You can do this, you
Yeah.
can do that, and then later on you have to get settled and
Hmm.
many things. So again, you have to start from the scratch. It means again, next 5 to 6 years, you'll be busy at that. So
Yes.
no support again from that. I'm not saying no support at all, but then yes, there was a oppose. But then later, anyway, I took that decision. I started from the scratch, and now everybody is supporting me because they see me doing well in coaching business.
Exactly. That is how I think most of the time life works. And what I've noticed is I'm comfortable with it. I've learned to accept it, and I don't hold it against your, for example, your parents. They also want you to have a safe life, and they also know that there's a lot of turmoil in doing something new, which not many people have done. So if your dad had a own coaching business, do you think he would have opposed it? No way.
No.
No way, because he knows the path, right? That is totally understandable in my opinion.
Makes sense.
But what I've noticed also is, like, for example, now when I was going to pitch the company that we've started in India, people want to invest in it because they see a lot of history, and they know, okay, yeah, there's a track record, and it just helps you to go to the next level. But when you're starting from scratch, that's where you don't find much support.
Okay. So how was it back then in Germany when you went to study?
Okay, so when I went there, it was very different. I really liked the environment. It was tough in the beginning because I did not speak the language, and it opened a lot of doors when I became fluent in German. It took me about 2 years, 1.5, 2 years, and then I totally understood why people have barriers. Because a lot of people I noticed in Germany, they expected, okay, I'm here now, why am I not that welcome? It was just because you didn't understand the culture, you didn't understand the language. So in the beginning, it was a bit tough, but once I started to understand the culture, I got into a good company, then it became enjoyable. But at the end, when I started my own business, I started realizing, okay, there's a glass ceiling. It was just for me. I might be wrong, but this is just my experience. And I started noticing there are a lot of rules and regulations, and the ease of doing business wasn't smooth for me. So that's why I pivoted online. I had my business online and my clients in the US, and I realized I don't need to be in that country because the taxes were very high. And you see, there's always a value exchange, and people try to change the situation where the value exchange is not in their favor. So that's why I came back, and I see in India it's very different, right? Sometimes I get frustrated by the amount of bureaucracy here as well, and I get frustrated, why does it take so long? But that's just how it is, like every problem has a solution, you just need to find it. So that was the entire experience from being in Germany and then coming back. So I had a good time, but it was time to move on.
Okay. So, why Airbnb in India? Why not some other country?
Okay, so the question is because one of my businesses is the Airbnb business, and that's in Goa. That's where it's starting from. Well, I remember when I was pretty young. I was, I think, about 18 when I was in the north with my friend. I think McLeodganj was the place, and I met a monk, and we spoke for about 3 hours, and those hours just went flying. And one of the things that he told me was, a man who's understood the meaning of life is the man who plants a tree, knowing very well that he will never sit in its shade. And I was young, I was like, yeah, cool, cool, nice. It didn't make much sense back
At
then.
that time.
Yeah. But when I was financially stable, I started looking for, okay, is that it? Because I just wanted to hit a number and be like, once I hit this number, I'll go to Africa and just relax and work in a farm, work with animals, whatever. I don't need to work for money. But when I had that money, I was like, I think that can wait. I can create a much bigger impact. And that is what the Airbnb is around. It's around something that I just don't want people to come and live there. I want to create a community around it, and it's going to be centered around people who are living in the city but see something bigger for themselves. They can come, take a break, be in Goa, have a like a break from the hustle in the city, and still work and continue their life, and then figure out, okay, is this something that they really want to do long term? And then eventually I want to create a community around it where I take people, because I've seen half of the world. I've not seen America yet, but I've seen the rest. And there's a lot out there which you can learn a lot from. So just take these people after 5 years, 6 years, give them a better experience, understand how they can create impact, and that is what the vision is. So this is what something I want to leave behind when I'm. And
Okay.
so it was so impactful. I got a tattoo done as well. So that's the monk.
Wait, then you show
Uh,
that.
you see,
All right.
that's the monk over here.
We will put the picture of the tattoo.
Yeah. So so that I don't forget.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. But what is it that after, okay, once you're done with Airbnb, once you create the community, once you create the impact, what's next?
That's it. So there's
Again,
no.
because you had that I want to hit
Yeah.
the numbers,
Yeah.
and after that,
Yeah.
what's next?
Hmm.
Now, once you hit this number,
Hmm.
what's next?
This, I think, that's what I sat down before creating this plan. That can I do this for the rest of my life? And I think you can do this for the rest of your life. If I may be too young to make that claim, but after my life experiences, I think this is a big enough vision where something bigger can come out of just Airbnb, something bigger can come out of just a community. I can make a much bigger impact
Mm-hmm.
by helping more people out. And when I help someone out, they help other people. So it creates a chain. I think this can last for a lifetime.
Mhm. I also saw that you're creating a lot of content and putting it on YouTube and
Mhm.
Instagram.
Mhm.
What are they about?
So basically, as of now, I'm not the best. It's just I'm trying to learn as well how to do
I
this.
think we all are trying our best.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to learn. Right now, it's just about business and my lessons from failing often.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just because I was an employee, I was never born into a family that had money. They were not entrepreneurs. None of my family members have ever done a business before. So everything I had to learn was from personal experiences. And when I became 30, 32, I really hoped, okay, after looking back at a decade, more than a decade, and it's like so many mistakes I made. Had I had someone who was a mentor, maybe that learning curve wouldn't have been so long and so steep. Maybe I would have saved 1 or 2 years, and those 1 or 2 years compound, in the future. That is the whole idea around that personal brand. Is just okay. This is the mistakes I'm making. Maybe you can learn from it. Maybe you cannot, but you're not the only one making those mistakes.
We all have made those mistakes. Now, you don't want them to repeat it the way you have done. So you
No,
just want to save their time.
one thing is that, and one thing is also that, like, for example, if someone would have told me it's fine, we all make these mistakes, it
Mm-hmm.
is part of the journey, I
Mm-hmm.
would have been more okay. Yeah, this is just part of the journey. Let's just walk.
Mm.
It was just such a gray area for me. So that is the thing. Okay, even if I can tell a guy, okay, you're making these mistakes, that's fine. You will learn and you will do better next time. If someone can just hear it, sometimes that in itself does the job.
Does that job? Yeah,
Yeah.
the support,
Yes.
that mental support.
Yeah. And also I speak to people all the time. For example, you can message me directly on Instagram and then reply if it's a genuine question, genuine help. I reply most of the time, and it's just me behind that. So like,
So, guys,
yeah, if you
message.
message me, I'll reply. But it has to be around business, not nothing about personal life. Yeah,
Nothing about it.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
great, great. So, when you were building about the business,
Hmm.
when you were building the business, you
The
said,
first one.
yeah. Okay, what types of business do you have?
Okay, so the first one right now,
Mhm.
it's a marketing agency,
Mhm.
which is in the US. It's
Mhm.
blue collar businesses.
Mhm.
I have an Airbnb brand that I've already registered. I just need to complete the purchase. And also, I'm a partner in All Tales. It's a pet care brand
Mhm.
in Delhi, NCR, and Chandigarh.
Mhm.
It was started with, um, I think it was started about 2 years ago, but we are in operations about 1.5 years. It was started by my cousin, Pranay, who you know as
Yes.
well. So he left the army. I came back from Germany and I invested in it. And that is one that I have in India as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm. So, three businesses you're running right now.
I would say just two. Pranay is the predominant
Okay.
guy over there, and the two are in complete my control.
And one is the personal brand which you are mentoring.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it a business. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
it's Two that are my own, the Airbnb and the marketing agency.
Okay, the marketing is so first one was the marketing
No, the
agency.
first business I ever started was selling oils, massage oils
Uh huh.
in Germany,
Uh huh.
which I got fined for. So I said after that I'll never get into physical products.
Uh huh.
But at that point of time I'll never get, because first of all you need to spend so much money and then a lot of things can go wrong along the way.
Right.
So I said okay, I'll sell businesses or services. Sorry.
Hmm.
So the first service that I was selling was women in Germany. I don't know if they're doing it over here. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They wipe the eyebrows off and then
Okay.
they paint or tattoo on top of
Yes,
it.
they do it.
Yeah,
That's
they
called
do it here.
microblading.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
So I was trying to sell that and
Uh-huh.
it was working fine.
Uh-huh.
But then I realized it's pretty low ticket. Then I went into Botox, lip fillers, and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that worked quite well. And then I pivoted into breast implants as well. So I
Uh-huh.
was, that's 5,000 euros. So I was like, okay, that's a higher ticket.
Uh-huh.
But then I realized it's too up and down.
Mm-hmm.
I want to sell something which is a bit more stable. This is what I thought. And so before that, simultaneously, I was selling dog collars and then dog services.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the idea came from. Okay, pet care is required. And eventually, I learned it was after 1.5 years, I landed on selling services for blue collar businesses in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I hired a coach and I was like, nothing is happening for me and I'm losing so much money. And he said, okay, you're not sticking to anything for long.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the biggest lessons. Stick
Mm-hmm.
to something for at least 6 months to a year to really know, okay, if this is working or not. And you need to have that bandwidth of that money and time. What helped me was I was doing everything while working a 9 to 5.
Oh.
And the good thing about Germany is laws are pretty good. 9 to 5 means 9 to 5. And people
5 o'clock you're out.
yes, people respect you for that as well. You don't lose a lot of respect if
Mm-hmm.
you just do your job well and you clock off at 5. So I did
Mm-hmm.
that. I clocked off at 5, directly went to the gym, and then worked on my business for 4 hours in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how those things started. And then when I hired him for about $6,000, that helped a lot. And then that's when I started making decent money, where I could think of quitting a job and then doing business full time. And then there are lots of ups and downs. In the winters we don't make much money. In the summers we make quite a few money, like roofs and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the instability is just a part of it. So
So
if you want stability in your life, do a job. Yeah.
so instability is normal if you're entrepreneur. I mean, if you're
Yeah,
starting your own business.
yeah.
Okay. Oh.
And for next like 3-4 years, it is going to be like that. So now after maybe almost 4.5 years, it's a bit stable. I would say it's a bit stable. I'm not there where I want to be, but just I understand. Okay, this is how life is
Okay.
going to be like.
So suppose if somebody is starting from the scratch,
Mhm.
they want to quit their 9 to 5 job
Mhm.
and they want to start something from the scratch, and they don't have a lot of money to put in
Yeah.
the business. How should they start, and what mistakes should they avoid?
Okay. So the first thing that you need to do if you want to start is you need to hire someone who is already there where you want to be, or 2-3 steps ahead of where you want to be. You need to do that. Understand this, that I also invest, even though I'm financially stable now, I still invest a lot in information, in
Mm-hmm.
figuring out, okay, can this be done better? We met on a networking event, we paid money to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how you can reach your goal faster. I'm not saying without spending money you won't be able to do it, it just will take a lot
It will
of
take
time.
longer time.
Yes, I did the same, so I'm not going to tell you something that I've not done. I did the same. I spent $6,000 just for some piece of information, and then I
Mm-hmm.
spent more money to understand. Okay, how do I go from 10K to 20K, 30K a month, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So figure out how much money you want to make. So when I ask people about their goals, where do you want to live, how much money you want to make, what kind of life you want, it's not written on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Write it down on paper. I want to make $10,000 a month. I want to live in X country.
Mm-hmm.
I want I want to be married, or I want to have 2 kids, 3 kids. Write everything down, what kind of a life you can
Be
envision for
very
yourself.
specific.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then write the steps, how do I get there? For me, the first step was get good at making money for other people. That is how I'll be able to make some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing was, where do I want to live? That is why I have a German passport. I can go anywhere I want. I want to live 6 months of my life in India. That's why I'm in Goa.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made things easier for me. So if you're at the same place, if you don't like your job, if you want to start a business, first understand how much amount of money you would need to sustain yourself if you're not working.
If
So let's
you
say
do not get any business for next 6 months or
six
two
months,
months.
10 months, whatever. And once you have that 10 months, 12 months saved, that's when you have some breathing space.
Mm-hmm.
I would just say, like what I did, I didn't quit my job.
Mm-hmm.
I worked. And once I was making 3 times the amount of money from my job, that's when I quit. So do not quit. I wouldn't say immediately quit and jump into business, because
Mm-hmm.
it takes a long time. It took me 1.5 years to just be stable and understand, okay, this is how I make money.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, like, I was working for 3 years while
Mm-hmm.
doing my business on the side.
I think I did the same thing. I was flying when I became a trainer and the
Yeah.
coach, and I started getting clients in Qatar because I was living in Qatar. So I approached a lot of, yeah, for that I needed to approach a lot because this is
Yeah.
a service based.
Yeah.
And when I got comfortable, yes, I can do it. And I
Mm.
was confident enough,
Mm.
yes, I can make impact, I can influence a lot of people, I can change people's life for better. Then I got like, okay, now I can quit my job because I do have a backup. I created my personal brand at that time.
Yeah.
Then I quit.
And you had money coming in as
Money
well.
coming in.
That is the
Yes.
biggest.
And the
uh,
savings.
and the savings. The biggest factor is, like, money. I would say a salary is like oxygen. You need it. You need to know, okay, next month this is what is coming in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, if you quit immediately, then your brain stops. For me, at least, it stops working. So what I did was, okay, I have this monthly money coming in from
Mm-hmm.
my job,
Mm-hmm.
and I have enough bandwidth, and from that 1,000 euros I will spend every month towards my next venture.
Business. Okay.
Business, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I did. I was fortunate. I was earning way above average. I was fortunate in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but your first business necessarily does not need to be your last business. It's just you need to understand, okay, how to have employees, how to source, how to. There's a lot of things that you need to know: how to network, how to make sales, how to, like, do accounting. You have a lot of plates that you need to, like, clean.
So suppose they start new business. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, any first business. They
Yeah.
start first business and they don't like it. It's not necessary that you stay in the same business. You can keep changing.
Yeah. But not because you don't like it.
Okay.
Let me tell you, you will not like it.
Yeah.
I don't like any of my businesses. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
if you ask me, do you like what you're doing? I like the impact I'm creating.
Mm-hmm.
The day to day, it's very, I won't even say boring. It's very taxing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's, like, sometimes you don't sleep at night. Sometimes you're like, will I ever be able to get there? Will I be able to,
Self doubt
yeah, self doubt is all. Like, I have a lot of self doubt.
and the
Um,
imposter syndrome.
I don't have that.
No,
Yeah,
I
because
have. I have. Sometimes it gets to me. Yeah.
okay, with me it's. I think with me it's because I know the amount of reps I'm making. It's just what I've realized. You get what you work for,
Mm-hmm.
and you might not deserve it, but you worked for it. That means people can be evil people, but if they work for it,
Mm-hmm.
they get the reward.
True.
So I don't struggle with the imposter part of it. A lot of my friends do, because sometimes they caught, uh, you know pump and dump, like in
Mm-hmm.
crypto, so
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
became millionaires,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like, oh, they're pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, I also got rich. I won't say rich, like, I got financially stable through work. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't hit any, like, lottery.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it took me about 31 years to get there. So I don't have that imposter thing, but I
Mm-hmm.
know that it can creep in.
It does sometimes. It
Yeah.
it creeps in and for days and days. I mean, not months, but
Mm.
yeah. Then I come back to
Yeah.
reality, come back to normal. But then it creeps in and sometimes it gives me like you haven't done anything special. Why?
Yeah.
Why you? You know, why should people hire you?
Yeah.
what's so special in you. And then later I because I have a lot of things recorded,
Yeah.
and I put a lot of content on my
Mm.
Instagram, and I have a lot of testimonials from my former clients. So I see those testimonials, and I
Yeah.
see the
The
impact I
impact you
have
create.
created
Yeah.
already, and then I come back to my confidence, like, okay, I can still do it,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on that point special because me personally, I don't think any one of us are special.
Hmm.
The things that we want from life, other people want too.
True.
The things we provide to other people, someone else can provide as well. So I'm not a big subscriber of the idea that I'm special or you are special. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that we are most of the time very similar to each other.
Okay.
It's just some of us choose to work on a particular thing for a long time, and then the impact is created after decades.
And it's greater.
Yeah, and it's great. That's it. I've never met someone who's like special. And I met billionaires, I met multimillionaires. They are human, same as you and me.
Just like us.
Yeah, it's just they work
More.
more,
They
or they. I won't even say they work more. They just
they
stuck to
became
it.
smarter while working, I guess.
Also, yeah, that's true. But they stuck to it for a long time.
Long time.
Most of the people I've met, they're like 40, 45, 50, but they stuck to that for 20 years. So I think the maximum returns come during the end
Mm-hmm.
of the business cycle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So basically you're saying there's no shortcut to success.
I don't know, define your timeline, right? So for me, the timeline is 30 years. So if someone has 300, like there are businesses that have been running for 300 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they plan for that time frame as well. So
Mm-hmm.
from if I tell them about mine, this is shortcut for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just what are you comparing it with?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And anything, I also believe this, anything that you want to do can be done faster.
If you get a right mentor, if you want to save your time, get a mentor
Yeah,
who just hire somebody who's already there.
yeah. And actually working. And also, I would say not just hire the first guy, shortlist 20, 30 people who you think can help you out,
Mm-hmm.
and then every one of them today in today's day and age has an introduction call, or you can
Clarity call.
clarity call, etc. And just go on those calls, write down the points, what you like, what you didn't like, and then at the end of the day, okay, this is the short list, this is, I think, these are the guys who can help me out, and then you take a decision on the information that you've gathered.
Vibe check.
Vibe check, yeah, you can call it vibe check. Yeah.
Now this is a Gen Z
Yeah,
term.
yeah, new terms.
New terms
I'm
now.
learning every
Like
day. So this is
just
what I do. I
vibe
just
check.
post and ghost. So I just post and I leave it. I don't scroll.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good that I'm learning new things as well.
There's something called doom scrolling.
Doom. Yeah, I know this. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it happens to me sometimes.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
but I always keep my laptop with some informative videos on.
Mhm.
So and I pause it and I doom scroll. Then suddenly I realize there's something going on. I put my phone back and I get back to study. So
Yeah.
that doom scrolling happens.
I can understand that. I have a lot of friends that do that as well. I won't say friends. I know a lot of people who do that.
Mm-hmm.
What helps me with work is I work with a timer. So it's like 45 minute sessions. I just work for 45 minutes, don't think about anything. And then when the timer is there, if I want to break, I take a break. But most of the time, my life is very structured. And it is harder for people to fit themselves in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally understand that, but it helps me.
Because I think they have a lot of distractions going on. First of all, they keep their phone on with a lot of notifications on.
Yeah.
So whenever there's small thing, they open one app, then they go to another app.
But that's a good thing. So how I see it is as it's a good point that you put. Okay, today's day and age, the attention span is very short,
Mm-hmm.
but that means it is much easier to become successful. It is much easier. Like the competition, your competition is doom scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
right. So
Mm-hmm.
you should be happy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember like when we were young. I think you and me are pretty similar age.
90s.
Yeah, 90s. So when we were young, we didn't have phones. We went outside to play and everything, and we could think of about a thought for a long period of time. And when we thought, okay, I want to do this task, that was in your mind for a lot of months. Okay, I need to
True.
work on this, I need to work on this, I need to work on this. Today your competition is not doing that. It's just one reel away of losing attention. So
True.
I see it as a positive. Okay, I don't need to work, like, you need to work hard, but you don't need to compete with so many people.
So when, how old were you when you got your first phone?
Phone. I know specifically I was 24 years of age when I got internet.
Okay.
Yeah. Phone was one, like, I didn't have my smartphone till 24.
Mm-hmm.
So the normal phone was at around 22. Oh, when I went to the island, so 20. Yeah, but there was no signal, so I wasn't using much of it. It was just to, we were finding one area in the jungle. Okay, yeah, that's when
Mm-hmm.
you can send an SMS from here.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Those network lines were
Yeah.
there.
So
Yeah.
I remember Havelock at that point of time. This was the island where I was working at that point of
Andaman, I think.
Andamans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was only one island where you could work as a scuba diver,
Mm-hmm.
and you had only one dish, satellite dish for internet. And the friend of mine, but he was charging 1,000 to 1,200 an hour, and my salary was first salary was 20,000 rupees. So I'm like not giving
For internet.
5%, 10% of my salary for internet. No, no, I'm good. But then came the smartphone, and my half of my money is made through internet, so I don't
Mm-hmm.
blame it. I
Mm-hmm.
really like this technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I use it in this way.
Okay. Okay. I remember I got my first phone when I had a job
Hmm.
and I was moving away from my family. So that's
Hmm.
when I needed the phone. When
And
I
how
was,
old were you?
I think I was 19 that time.
Yeah, and
19. I think that was in 2013, 2013. Yeah.
so that means you didn't have internet till 19 as well. Yeah, so
College,
you
no,
remember
no.
those days. Yeah.
So no distraction. So when I decided I want to become a cabin crew,
Hmm.
I was focused at that,
Hmm.
and I joined an academy and I worked. I did not even take one day leave.
Yeah,
I was
because you
going
really
on.
wanted it.
Yeah, I really
That's the
wanted
thing.
it.
If
So
you
I
really,
kept going,
yeah,
going, going, and first interview, and I was like in. That's
yeah,
it, sorted.
yeah, I know.
And even for when I wanted to go for Qatar Airways International, I had no idea about Qatar Airways.
Hmm.
Although I still went because everybody was going in my company. I was like, okay, I'll go, I'll see. But again, for next 3 days, I know. I got to know about interview on Wednesday, and it was on Saturday, Sunday, 2 rounds. So I decided I'll put my brain into it for 3 days. So I created my CV, resume, whatever you want to say, and then I purchased some formal clothes.
Hmm.
And at that time, my salary was not so good. It was around 35,
So you spent your
40,000.
own money to purchase those
Yes.
clothes. So
Yeah.
this is what I say. When you really want something, you just find
You
ways.
just do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I focused and I went, and yeah, done. First interview of international, done. Because I saw a lot of pretty girls. I saw a lot of ex-airline cabin crew like Jet Airways, Kingfisher. They came, and there were around 900 ladies, and it was only for females. 900 ladies, and they only selected five, and I was like, oh my god, I got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I wanted it. So I mean, I don't know, I had no idea about going international. I had no plans.
Hmm.
However, the destiny just put me there. When they that destiny put me there, I gave my 100%. That's what I remember right now, that I gave completely, like I surrendered myself. And that's exactly what I do when I'm getting into any sort of work. When I'm getting into work, I'm giving my 100%. That's it. That's I don't know about the outcome, whether it's going to be positive or negative. I just want to give my 100% so that I can sleep it.
Mm.
That's usually what happens with me. And
Okay, so that's a
it
different way
works.
of
Yeah.
approaching it. I actually always have a goal.
Mm-hmm.
I really, I'm not comfortable not having a direction.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, you don't really get what you deserve. You get
Mm-hmm.
what you work for. So you
Mm-hmm.
worked for it and
Mm-hmm.
you got it. But
Mm-hmm.
you didn't know that this is what the outcome is going to be.
Right.
But the work that was required for that outcome, you put in.
So that was back in 2016. But
Hmm.
now
Hmm.
I like to have a direction.
Yeah.
I have goals. I have a big shot. You can say those hairy, audacious, hairy goals.
Hmm.
I don't know what BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals. Yeah,
Oh,
there
okay.
is a term
There's a
called.
new term? Okay.
Yeah, that's a.
Learn
It
something
comes
new.
in coaching. We
Okay.
have that big, hairy, audacious goal. So I do have those big goals, and I'm looking forward to it. Again, as we spoke earlier about it, that we don't need to know the complete steps, but
Yeah.
we just need to know next 2 3 steps that
Yeah.
we need to take.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, this is a good point because my first, I would say, meeting with a billionaire, a normal guy, just, we were conversing not about business, but just about life, having fun. We met an event. And when I asked him, did you know you'll become a billionaire? No, I just like doing what I was doing. And that also made it clear for me that you really need to enjoy what you're doing and you need to enjoy walking. And that is
Hmm.
how you'll walk further, than the
Hmm.
man who just has a goal of, okay, 25 kilometers, 50 kilometers, whatever.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that is why when you asked me what next, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is it. I think my personal goals is only one thing left, but this is my professional goals. I think I don't want to pivot much further than what I'm doing right now. I want to create a community around it. So eventually we'll get there.
Hmm. Okay. If there's one thing that you learned really hard
Mm-hmm.
that people should not, I mean, they should learn in a smarter way,
Hmm.
but you learned really hard, what was that?
Good question. Stop putting so much value on other people's opinions.
Hmm.
And the people who you value the most, their negative opinions will impact you the most. Yeah. So that's what I realized, and I stayed away from my family for a long time. And I realized it's much easier to go through life looking at people like your family, your friends as people who make mistakes.
Hmm.
They're not almighty. You just need to accept, okay, yeah, this is what. And if someone loves you, that does not mean they know what is best for you.
That's true.
Yeah. But it took a while to learn that.
Mm. I'm still processing that
Yeah.
because I think a lot of them are going to process this.
Yeah.
It hits straight in the
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah. We all go through this. So that's
Yeah,
why
yeah, we do.
I had to think of
Mm.
it. But it's not something I think of every day.
Mhm.
That's why it took some time to come up with it. But yeah, that's, I think, one good lesson that we should learn quickly.
Mhm. All right, that was it.
Thank you for having me. It was a
It
pleasure.
was pleasure having you. Thank you for coming and showing up for this podcast. And I'm pretty sure, okay, they are going to listen till the end. I hope
I hope
because the
I
truth
hope I
bomb
wasn't
is
boring.
coming.
Yeah.
No, it was pretty interesting. Yes, I'm going to put a link of his socials, Abhimanyu socials of YouTube and Instagram. Are you also on LinkedIn?
Yes.
You are on
Yes.
LinkedIn.
I'm not that
So
active. I need to change that, but I'm on LinkedIn.
yes, I'll keep reminding you for LinkedIn.
Done.
All right. So LinkedIn, I'll put all the links. Please do follow him. And if you do have any questions, and if you're looking for a mentor, feel free to reach out to this guy. He's great. He built businesses, right? So
Yeah.
learn.
All right. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.